King Charles and Prince William have shared a private moment before participating in the Order of the Bath service. His Majesty was seen gently patting his son on the arm.
Whispers echoed through the palace halls long before the announcement was made, but nothing could prepare William and Catherine for the emotional blow that followed. In a voice weighed down by sorrow, King Charles broke his silence, and with it, the royal facade began to crumble. What should have been a steady chapter in the monarchy's future has now spiraled into confusion and grief. As the weight of duty collides with the pain of reality, one can't help but wonder, how will the Prince and Princess of Wales recover from this? The illness that shattered royal silence. In early 2024, just as the United Kingdom was beginning to settle into life under a new monarch, something quietly unfolded that shook the very walls of Buckingham Palace. It wasn't a grand announcement about government policy, royal duties, or national traditions. It was far more personal, deeply human, and something few had ever expected from a sitting king. Known for his composed and often distant demeanor, King Charles broke with generations of royal restraint to speak publicly about something he could no longer hide: his own health. What started as a routine medical checkup in January turned into something far more alarming. The public was initially told the king would undergo a minor procedure for an enlarged prostate. Nothing serious, nothing to be concerned about. But behind closed palace doors, the truth was taking a much darker turn. Following further scans, doctors discovered something far more sinister. Not just a complication, not just an anomaly, cancer. By February, the full diagnosis had arrived. Details were kept guarded, but within the royal household, the emotional impact was seismic. Advisors urged discretion, reminding the king of the royal tradition to guard personal struggles behind an unshakable image of strength. But this time, Charles refused to hide. He chose not to pretend. He wanted the people to hear the truth from him. The decision to share his illness was unprecedented. No monarch in modern history had made such a deeply personal disclosure while still on the throne. When the announcement came, it wasn't flashy or dramatic. A short, carefully written palace statement confirmed the cancer diagnosis without giving too much away. But even in its brevity, the message struck a deep chord. It was a moment that changed everything. For the first time, the king seemed less like a distant figurehead and more like a man facing the same fears, fragilities, and pain as the people he served. No grand speech or royal parade could have created this kind of connection. Charles had opened a rare window into royal life, and in doing so, redefined what leadership meant in the modern monarchy. Across the country, there was a shift. The public responded not with gossip or skepticism, but with empathy. Conversations about cancer and health screenings surged. Charities reported a spike in donations. Doctors saw an increase in patients coming in for checkups. People were listening, really listening, because the king had made himself vulnerable. But while the public was reacting, the emotional toll inside the palace was far more complex. Prince William, long aware of his destiny, now found himself facing it more abruptly than anyone expected. The crown that had always loomed somewhere in the distance now felt like it was closing in. At the same time, Catherine was waging her own private battle. A health scare of her own soon spiraled into something serious, though she kept her pain hidden from the world, and especially their children. Together, William and Catherine were no longer just heirs to the throne. They were parents, partners, and protectors, struggling to hold their family together under unbearable pressure. Every public appearance required emotional armor. Every private moment became a sanctuary. They wanted George, Charlotte, and Louis to feel nothing but love and security. But deep down, they knew the world around them was shifting fast. And as the storm grew heavier, one thing became increasingly clear: preparing the future crown. What role will heartbreak play in shaping the next generation of royals? Stay with us. Charles's vision for the future monarchy. Charles was still fighting cancer, but he had found a strange kind of calm. The illness hadn't disappeared, but it had become something he could live with, something he could manage. And with that fragile sense of control, he began returning to royal duties one step at a time. But this time he wasn't doing it for tradition or expectation. Every public moment he chose was deliberate, each appearance filled with deeper thought and quiet intention. The crown no longer sat on the head of the same man who wore it at the start. Pain had reshaped him. Experience had softened him. Charles had been molded by hardship, and in that process, he became more human to the people watching him. No longer aloof or distant, he was now a monarch who moved with humility, each gesture echoing a newfound empathy. Yet while he kept up the rhythm of a working king, Charles was looking further ahead than most realized. Thoughts of legacy haunted him. He knew that every decision he made now could become permanent, etched into the history of a monarchy that stretched back centuries. And so, with quiet determination, he began making bold moves, ones that would guide the royal family long after he was gone. What the public didn't see was the subtle shift happening behind palace doors. While many praised Charles for his resilience, few noticed that he was quietly steering the monarchy in a new direction. At the center of that change stood one deeply personal desire: to elevate Catherine, Princess of Wales, not just in name, but in status. He didn't simply want her seen as William's wife. He wanted her recognized in time as queen. This wasn't about tradition. It wasn't about power. It was about meaning. Those close to Charles revealed that this idea hadn't come suddenly. It had grown slowly, over years of watching Catherine remain composed in the face of pressure. Never once asking for attention, she worked tirelessly, held the royal family together during moments of crisis, and did it all without complaint. Charles admired that deeply. She reminded him of his mother in her early days, firm, kind, and devoted. That same quiet strength, that unwavering sense of duty, had left an impression on him that no title or ceremony ever could. So, he made a rare and risky decision. He began to speak, albeit subtly, about a future where Catherine would be queen, not just in spirit, but officially, beside William. At first, it was only whispers within palace circles. Then, those whispers turned into headlines. People began to wonder if the king was rewriting the royal playbook. Catherine had no scandal attached to her name. She had battled cancer herself, with honesty and grace, and that only made the public love her more. In a time when people were growing weary of royal drama, Catherine stood as a calm, kind presence, someone they could trust. Charles saw her as the answer to a modern monarchy's survival. The rigid old rules that once guided royal titles no longer felt relevant. He had lived through the pain those rules could cause. He didn't want his son and daughter-in-law shackled by the same outdated expectations. So, he moved. Quietly but decisively, he brought William and Catherine closer to the heart of royal operations. He began preparing them not just for the throne, but for leadership. Honors were handed out. Public trust was rebuilt. Even those who usually ignored royal news found themselves drawn to Catherine's calm strength. Politicians began paying close attention too. With Charles's health uncertain, the idea of Catherine as queen was no longer just possible. It was beginning to feel inevitable. For William, this went far beyond preparing for a crown. It was about continuing his father's vision. Every public duty, every appearance alongside Catherine helped rebuild the crumbling foundation of the monarchy. Together, they weren't waiting for a future. They were already shaping it. Over the past year, William's role had transformed. No longer simply next in line, he had become an active participant in the monarchy's direction. And standing beside him, not in his shadow, but in full light, was Catherine, a future queen, shaped not by privilege, but by quiet strength. So how did a woman with no royal blood become the monarchy's most trusted force? Keep watching, because the truth might just rewrite everything you thought you knew. From ordinary roots to royal grace and power. The moment Catherine Middleton stepped into the royal spotlight, the world couldn't look away. Here was a woman who once lived a perfectly ordinary life, attending university, sharing a house with friends, shopping at local stores, now stepping into history as the Princess of Wales. By the age of 43, Catherine had transformed from a university student into a deeply admired royal figure. No longer just Prince William's wife, she became a quiet, yet powerful, force within the monarchy, stepping forward with both grace and grit, especially in the years following Queen Elizabeth's death in 2022. While others had married into royalty before her, Catherine's story stood out. Unlike Princess Diana, who came from nobility, or Queen Camilla, who was born into a privileged family, Catherine's upbringing was humble and grounded. Her father worked in aviation. Her mother had once been a flight attendant. Her grandparents toiled in coal mines, and her mother was raised in public housing. Nothing about her background suggested she would one day live in a palace or sit beside a future king. And yet she has done exactly that, without losing touch with who she is. Catherine's academic journey led her to Marlborough College, where she excelled in both studies and sports, and later to the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. That's where fate quietly set her future path. She met William not as a royal figure, but as a fellow student. Their friendship blossomed slowly, naturally. Two young adults finding connection beyond title or status. By 2004, they were a couple. Catherine graduated the following year with a degree in art history. But as her relationship with William deepened, so did the glare of public attention. Catherine was followed by cameras, critiqued by tabloids, and mocked in the press with unkind nicknames. Yet she never crumbled under the pressure. Even during a brief breakup in 2007, she held her dignity. Many questioned whether a royal wedding would ever happen, but Catherine waited. And when the engagement was finally announced in 2010, the world erupted in joy. The royal wedding in 2011 was not just a ceremony, it was the beginning of a new royal era, an era where tradition met modern resilience. Still, the journey wasn't without resistance. Some within the royal circle doubted her fit. It's said that Queen Camilla was skeptical of Catherine's background, seeing her as too common for a future queen. But Queen Elizabeth saw something different. She noticed Catherine's poise in public, her ability to remain calm under pressure, and her respect for royal protocol. Yet even Her Majesty had concerns early on. She worried that Catherine and William were not working hard enough and encouraged Catherine to gain real-world experience. Though the advice stung, Catherine took it seriously. She contributed to her family's small business, explored fashion, improved her photography, and built a public image rooted in elegance and service. Over time, she expanded her royal duties, becoming involved in mental health, early childhood education, and family support efforts. She met with communities across the UK and abroad, not just as a royal figure, but as someone who truly listened. Step by step, Catherine earned her place, not through titles, but through effort and sincerity. She has become not just the wife of a future king, but a symbol of modern royal grace. Her journey from ordinary to extraordinary now leads her toward, so what honor awaits her next, and why does it have the entire palace whispering? Stay tuned. Catherine's moment, the recognition she earned. Catherine's first years as a royal were anything but simple. She entered a world where every move was watched, every word analyzed, and every mistake amplified. The palace wasn't just a home. It was a stage under constant public scrutiny. Cameras flashed and rumors swirled, all eyes searching for any sign of weakness. But Catherine faced it with quiet determination. Slowly, she learned the unwritten rules of palace life, moving carefully, yet confidently, through the endless spotlight. One of the most important bonds she formed early on was with Queen Elizabeth II. Their relationship didn't develop overnight. It took time, patience, and mutual respect. Over months, the two grew closer, sharing private moments away from the crowd, sitting side by side during long car journeys, exchanging knowing glances at royal events, and having quiet tea sessions behind closed doors. These small moments revealed a deeper understanding between them. The Queen, a woman who cherished tradition and order, began to trust Catherine's calm and steady presence. Unlike others who brought drama or sought rapid change, Catherine stayed true to the royal values, working hard, staying humble, and never seeking the spotlight. Inside the palace, people noticed how often the Queen invited Catherine to join meetings or consult on plans. Her opinions were valued because she handled her duties with care and discretion. Catherine was seen as thoughtful, kind and dependable, a source of stability and peace amid ongoing palace challenges. Her public image remained untarnished, earning her genuine respect from the public. In contrast, Queen Consort Camilla, despite her efforts and loyalty, never quite gained the same warm admiration. Her journey to acceptance was tougher and slower, and inside the palace, that difference created silent tensions. Camilla's struggles had been long and public, while Catherine's rise felt natural, effortless, and widely celebrated. The contrast was never openly discussed, but it lingered in family gatherings and official ceremonies. Yet, Catherine never let this divide affect her. She kept her focus, stayed above gossip, and carried out her work with unwavering grace. When royal scandals hit the headlines, Catherine stayed in the background, calm and controlled. She was part of the inner circle that met with the Queen and senior royals to strategize how to respond. But once the discussions ended, she kept everything confidential, never revealing palace secrets or stirring the public pot. This quiet strength reminded many of the Queen's long reign, a leadership defined not by loud speeches but by steady resilience. People began to see Catherine as a future pillar for the monarchy, someone who could protect the royal family without rocking the boat too much. Unlike some royals who tried to imitate the Queen, Catherine carved her own path, blending respect for tradition with genuine kindness. She made small but meaningful gestures, sending thank you cards after visits, checking in on people's families, making everyone she met feel seen and valued. These simple acts reflected a deep care that didn't go unnoticed. As the Queen's health declined, she leaned on Catherine more than ever. Catherine rose to the occasion, managing her duties efficiently and always being ready to help. When the Queen passed, Catherine's importance grew, but she didn't lose sight of her family. Balancing royal responsibilities with motherhood, she made sure to be present for her children, helping with schoolwork and keeping family life grounded. She chose engagements close to home whenever possible, ensuring she could quickly return to her children. With Prince Harry and Meghan stepping back from royal duties, the spotlight intensified on William and Catherine. More responsibilities landed on their shoulders. William had to be both a strong leader and a devoted father, a tough balancing act made easier by Catherine's unwavering support. The public noticed this dedication. She never sought praise but quietly earned admiration across the nation. Behind the scenes, plans were quietly being shaped for the monarchy's future, a future where Catherine's steady strength would be essential. So what hidden forces will shape the monarchy's path forward? Stay tuned to find out. Inside the secret plans for a royal transition. Every day inside the royal household is like a rehearsal for a moment that may come without warning. Even when things seem calm, deep behind palace walls, preparations are always in motion. Carefully guarded plans are reviewed, updated, and memorized by a trusted few, because the monarchy can never afford a misstep, especially when faced with a life-changing event like the death of a reigning king. If such a moment arrived, the process would be swift and steeped in tradition. The royal family would be notified first, before the Prime Minister, before the public, before the world. And then, the outside of Buckingham Palace would tell the tale. A black-bordered notice pinned to the gates, flags lowered to half-mast, and an air of solemn silence settling over the nation. Mourning would begin instantly, touching every corner of the United Kingdom, with the chill of history repeating itself. Behind this wave of grief, however, the machinery of monarchy keeps turning. Prince William would ascend as king the moment his father's death is confirmed. There would be no pause, no delay in responsibility, even if the grand spectacle of a coronation might take months to plan. That delay is not without precedent. King Charles himself waited 8 months after Queen Elizabeth's passing, and even she had to wait 16 months for her own crown. William would begin his kingly duties immediately, holding the weight of the crown while the nation adjusted to its new era. King Charles's final journey would follow another precise route, from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. There, the public would have a rare chance to say goodbye. Thousands would stand in line for hours, just to walk past their monarch. lying in state. This isn't just tradition, it's a national ritual. It's already mapped out under the code name Operation Menai Bridge, named after the iconic bridge in Wales that nods to Charles' former title as Prince of Wales. Though the plan has existed for years, it gained urgency after Queen Elizabeth's death. Should King Charles's health decline before his passing, there is another path, the Regency Act of 1937. This law allows the next heir to carry out all royal duties without claiming the throne outright. Prince William could step in as acting monarch, preserving stability without the need for immediate change. But this step requires approval from at least 3 out of 5 key officials, including Queen Camilla herself. And if Camilla outlives Charles, she would take on a new identity, Queen Dowager, not Queen Mother, a title that would have belonged to Princess Diana had she lived. Camilla would likely retreat from public view, trading the palace for a quieter home, continuing her private campaigns in literacy and domestic violence support, if the new king allows it. All of this is more than just protocol. It's the royal family's blueprint for surviving upheaval while staying dignified. It's a dance between change and continuity. But what happens when tradition itself begins to buckle under modern pressures? And when a crown shifts unexpectedly, who truly holds the power and who just wears it? Stay tuned. The weight of change for a new era. Princess Anne, known for her no-nonsense attitude and strong presence, recently called a rare and urgent family meeting. But this wasn't your average royal gathering. It was a highly private affair that brought together the entire royal family, including Prince Harry, who hadn't been seen with them in quite some time. Meghan Markle, however, chose not to attend. Her distance from the royal fold remained, and while people weren't surprised, her absence still sent a message. The mood from the start was tense. There were no cheerful hugs or lighthearted conversations. This was clearly not about catching up. It was about something far more serious. As everyone took their seats, the room filled with a heavy silence. Then came the raised voices, sharp exchanges, and even tears. Emotions ran deep. The topic on the table wasn't just family. It was the future of the monarchy. King Charles, facing the weight of his role and the toll of his health, had come to a turning point. He wasn't planning to quietly pass the crown to Prince William. Instead, he had worked out a careful strategy to help the monarchy survive tough times. But he needed someone who could deliver the hard truths. That's where Princess Anne stepped in. Her voice, steady and direct, cut through the tension. Everyone listened. William's place as the next king remained unquestioned. Catherine, poised and prepared, was stepping into her future role with increasing strength. But the surprise came when the idea of Prince Harry returning to royal life, at least in a limited way, was floated. After all his time away, after stepping down and moving overseas, it seemed impossible. And yet, the door wasn't completely shut. Behind the scenes, Charles had started shifting responsibilities. William and Catherine were already taking on more. Change was unfolding fast. The monarchy was evolving, and for the first time in years, the possibility of Harry's quiet return didn't seem so far-fetched. Could his presence be the key to a stronger, more united royal image? Or would he choose to stay away for good? The answer could reshape the family's future forever. As the royal family adjusts behind closed doors, William and Catherine face a future they never thought would arrive so soon. So, how will this moment reshape their roles, their family, and the crown? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.